What's up, everybody? What's going on? Happy Monday night. I do not think that Michael's going to be with us tonight because he is still in Vegas with a lot of the people at the conference. They're doing some stuff. I think they're going to Area 51 or something today. He may have updated his Facebook today about it. A lot of you guys know that his YouTube channel, his primary YouTube channel, was deleted yesterday. He still has his backup channel, which you guys can go to. We'll talk about that probably tomorrow night on the situation report. Just a real quick update. The Vegas conference was pretty cool. Met a lot of tribe members. A lot of people were there that I hadn't met before in person. So it was really fun. Michael's speech on Saturday, or his presentation, was pretty awesome. It was really good, very deep, a little bit different side of Michael than what you guys are used to. So I thought that was really, really good. But very excited tonight to be joined, of course, hopefully by Kim Guggen, aka Kim Possible. And I have a bunch of good questions that we put together this weekend for the show. So, my hope is that we will have her show up here any moment, and we will get into an amazing discussion tonight. Obviously, you guys already know, if you want questions to be answered, go into the Q&A. Okay, do not put the questions in the chat. The chat is very high speed. I am tired. I have been traveling since last Tuesday, and I was just in traffic on the way home today. My flight was delayed. I had to do a business meeting this morning. And so my flight was delayed this afternoon, so I barely made it home in time for the show. But I'm excited and happy to be here with you guys, and again, hopefully. And without further ado, I think we have the one, the only.
Yeah, I'm just fixing my auto. Hold on a second.
Yeah, no problem, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Much better now that you are here.
My headset on, so let's see. Headset, here we go. Okay.
And my microphone on, and a background on. I'm in the wrong damn Zoom. Hang on one second.
No problem.
He didn't log me out. Someone used my Zoom today. Tank used it. He's here with me, so hold on a second.
All good. So she'll be right back, which is good. But anyway, so yeah, what I was telling you guys is Michael's not going to be on, I don't think, tonight because he's at Area 51 with Brad Olson, a couple other people. They're going to do a sit out there with night vision goggles and see what turns up. So I will hold the fort down here tonight. Obviously, Kim is an amazing person with a very powerful story. And so you guys are going to get her entire background. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know who she is and what her story is. But for some of you guys, I'm going to circle the wagons and, ask some detailed questions. And then wherever it goes is wherever it goes. Let's see here. So again, everybody, obviously, your questions in the Q&A are going to be awesome. There she is.
Yeah, she's back.
Hi, Kim. How are you? It's very nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you too.
I like the background. You got it looks like the
yeah,
hall
in the library. That's true.
Yeah, the Hall of Records. That's awesome.
Get the better microphone. Okay, can you hear me? We're good?
I can hear you. It's weird though. We might be getting attacked. There's a little bit of distortion in the background right now. Do you hear any distortion on my end?
I do a little bit in my ears. Let me try. You want me to try a different?
How's this?
No distortion.
Okay, good. All right. I'll just switch mics.
Okay, perfect. You sound great. So Michael is traveling. We were just in a conference in Las Vegas this weekend, and he is not going to be on the show tonight. So he sends you his best, but I promise you that I will hold the fort down. The show, so right now the show is being recorded on Zoom. We have about 408 active people watching. I have a bunch of questions presented for you. A lot of the people in our community are, of course, fans of yours and are familiar with your story. Why don't you just start off very high level? Tell us essentially who you are, a little bit about your background and your role.
Okay, well, so this whole position has evolved over the years, right? So I initially started out looking for like the trustees of the trust. Everybody heard about the Chinese elders and all these things, right? So I started talking to those people. I had found a few others that were involved with this, and I did some traveling, right? I had gone to, London, Russia, China, Nepal, many different locations around the world. And sitting in a hotel room in Moscow at the time, and all these people had shown up, and I expected to flip the system. That was the idea, right? To get the money out of the system. And at the time, we had just gone through the market crash in the States shortly thereafter. And I thought, well, this could really help the United States. That was the plan. And so I get a call from a friend of mine that works for the DOD, and he told me that you're the next trustee. I'm like, what? I didn't apply for this job. It's not like I asked for it, right? So then the Russian government people came in and they told me the same thing. So I'm like, oh my God, this is real, right? So ever since that day, I guess that's been part of the job. Over the years, I've learned a lot more about the job, and I have a lot more hats now than just trustee. So I'm not actually a trustee anymore. I'm actually a guardian now. So that's a little bit about me. I've been in banking my whole life. I went to school for architecture. My degree's in architecture, not even in banking. Right. And that's just, I guess, where we're at. I've been to vaults. I have pictures of some of the places I've been. I've seen a lot of things that are only mythical, and most of your guests mine. So
I have a lot of questions for you, but I kind of think it's probably better to maybe just get your opinion on the insanity, right, of like this current planet. I think a lot of us, like in the communities that we come from right now, are watching in real time the matrix unravel, right? It seems like there's a lot of different people or parties or breakaway civilizations or whatever you want to call it, vying for, scraps at the table. But can you kind of give us your take as to like what is happening like at this very moment? Here, obviously it's March 22nd and we're live.
Yeah. So initially, right, you had multiple factions of what you call the order, right, or the Illuminati, however you want to call them. There were more layers to that than most people think. So when you start talking about dragon families and you start talking about the Order of the Black Sun, you're about 7 or 8 layers down the food chain.
Right.
So everybody has a boss. Everybody has someone they report to. And the dragon families would be considered the line of Solomon. If you remember the part in the Bible, it says that they're going to rule for 3,000 years. That's who they are. Whether you're Asian or British or Middle Eastern, as you know, the dragon families, or may or may not know, these families are all not Asian.
Right.
And the term dragon has nothing to do with Asian culture. It has to do with what their bosses look like.
Right.
So that's that part of it. And then you have the Order of the Black Sun. The Order of the Black Sun were Solomon's demons. They worship death. They do a lot of ritual sacrifices, such as the one they just did 48 hours ago, to try to gain some control. Well, the agreement between Solomon's demons and the line of Solomon dissipated during Hanukkah in 2018. So December 2nd through 7th, 2018. And so then, since Solomon's demons thought that they were better than Solomon, right? Now they want to take over. So this fight has ensued ever since. It actually started a little bit before that. So that's the take on the higher level of what's going on. Right now, they're fighting against each other for total world domination. Neither one of them have all the tools that they need to get it done, predominantly because a lot of agreements were broken. There's not a lot of support coming from the upper echelon to them anymore. A lot of dumbs have gone. Many different things that they used to use to control us all are now dissipating. PSI ops, I don't know if you're familiar with those, not PSYOPs, but PSI ops. And then they're losing the grip on the mainstream media as well, right? We're starting to see a lot more come out that we've only talked about on our side of it most recently. Now you're going to get down to what's happening in the rest of the world, right? In our world. So we have a president that has been put on ice, literally, in the basement of the White House, right, in the U.S. The current party is not even a clone. It's actually General Hyten wearing a mask. That's confirmed, 100%.
Wow.
Yep, that's 100% confirmed. Putin is no longer with us either. That is actually a double. Dr. Fauci is not Dr. Fauci anymore. That's a person wearing a mask. All these things are confirmed, and you're starting to see it leak out in alternative media. So they're losing the grip of control. Now, every time they lose a battle, so to speak, with us, right, then we're pushing the COVID narrative again. So you'll notice they'll go backwards a little bit, right, like they did about a week or so ago. Things starting unwinding, and all of a sudden today, now it all comes out like, well, are you sure we want to release travel restrictions? Are you sure we want to do this? Are you sure we want to do that? All the cases are rising. We better not do that. And that's all about an operation. That's Operation Lockdown. They feel that they have had some success with this, and they keep going back to the same narrative. So that's kind of where we're at right now, trying to take control of asset bases. So in-ground assets in not only the United States, but in other areas of the world that they no longer have controlled since September of 2019. And that's where I've been basically for the last week, is talking to these people.
So would you say then that there are still multiple timeline possibilities, and that, because a lot of us talk about getting into a quote unquote golden age. There's all sorts of technologies that are coming out. Obviously, you're familiar with the med beds. And, at the conference I was just at this weekend, there's all sorts of quantum vibrational healing. I'm involved in a company that brings, hair replacement through specific types of peptides. I mean, there's so much stuff that's like leaking into what I would call, the ether of this realm, of this existence right now. It seems like we're so close, but obviously you're talking about these nefarious groups that are still preventing this. What do you see as potential outcomes and timelines? And I know it's very difficult to quantify, like finite, this is going to happen by this month or this year or whatever, but like, what do you see over the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, to go back just a minute, so with new technologies, it was always the Majestic 12, right? You're familiar with the Majestic 12. So the Majestic 12's job was to communicate in the DUMBs with other people, let's just say, that live here, right? So they would get a lot of technologies from these people. It would all filter through them, and then it would filter into, the technologies would filter into the elite, right? Predominantly Skull and Bones or the Black Sun would be the ones that would control the corporates. However, everything fed back into the Dragon families, right? So you've got your Johnson & Johnson, you've got your Koch brothers, you've got Bill Gates. All of these people would be considered Order of the Black Sun. And you can find information about them on the internet somewhat. So as far as us and we are concerned right now, the one good thing we have going for us as far as new technologies is concerned is they are so focused on grasping at what they have left for power. They're not really focused on us and new technologies and sending in the economic assassins and other types of assassins like they used to, right? So we're starting to have a lot more opportunities. The problem is liquidity is scarce, right? Okay. So their liquidity is very scarce too. So we have to look at it from all angles as far as that is concerned. As far as predictions of what could potentially happen, I bet you that Biden will be declared dead officially.
Right.
That would be a guess. The Trump administration wants something completely different at this moment in time. He's gotten beyond president. For those of you that don't know, his real last name is Von Kampf, right? Or Von Kief, depending on where, you are from. So Eastern Europe, it's called Von Kief, like Kiev, as in Ukraine. One of the original sites of the Black Sun, their origin is actually in Ukraine, not too far from Chernobyl. Hence the ritual sacrifice that took place there in order to bring in whatever they call their demons, right? Now, on his end of it, John Trump, which you can find information on the internet, was a scientist, actually brought over during Project Paperclip, and very, very tied into Project Looking Glass. So whatever Project Looking Glass said, Trump believes.
Right.
So Trump's going to be president. Trump's going to do this. Trump's the chosen one. Trump's going to, so on and so forth. So as of the conversation I had with the people that are here now from his administration, he would rather be the king of North America, which means the head of the Black Sun for North America and in control of all of the assets in North America. That's where he's at right now.
So is Trump a benevolent at all? I mean, is he just another leader of a breakaway civilization, as you call it, the king of the Black Suns of North America?
What is your definition of benevolent?
I mean, is he for the light? My definition is Trump. We've been told so many different things. That that he was freeing the kids and clearing out the dumbs and behind all of these different things. I mean, is that mostly a myth and mostly disinformation?
100% disinformation. I know this for a fact. I actually know who cleaned out all the dumbs, who cleared everything out. 1000% he was not involved in any way, shape, or form. That's a lie.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know, I'm actually about 50 miles from Dulce. And I was there on September 21st, 2019. So I know who was there and who wasn't.
So when you talk about, and again, some of these people are not familiar with your stuff, as others. So I mean, I'm doing a little bit big picture. When you talk about the demons, versus the reptilians, the dragon families, the bosses, how do you differentiate them? Is it even possible?
Well, I guess the best way to describe it in layman's terms, you do have some reptilians in there, right? But in the Middle East, they talk about the 3 layers of jinn, right?
Right.
And the third layer, or the deepest, darkest, most, I would say, evil, right, would be what I call the Tarzakians, what they call these, they kind of look like smoke and they have red eyes and the shadows. And if you read up on the Order of the Black Sun, it actually talks about the shadows. We are the shadows. And a lot of times with the Black Sun, they take on full on what you call walk-ins, I guess. You could also define them as, they're very evil beings. So to our sun in the past was a sister sun, which is a black sun, right? Or a black hole. And every so often there's an alignment between the two. And that was their entry point. Some people call them also the chimera, right? So that would be a different level. And these people exist on that other side.
I'm reading this book. This is kind of random that I was given at the conference on Thursday. It's from Leo Zagami, who was like a very high level 33rd degree Mason, worked for the Vatican, and then went, quote unquote, to what he says is to the light. He served the satanic forces and stuff like that for a while. And then he left, and now he's kind of on the run. He's in the States somewhere. He's on the West Coast. And Michael and I did a podcast with him about 2 months ago, and I wasn't very familiar with his work as much as I am now. But anyway, this book is called Invisible Master, The Puppeteer's Hidden Power, and he talks about the Jinn and those 3 layers. It's
Yeah.
so random that I was reading that actually today while I was on the plane flying back to Southern California, that you mentioned that. Are the demons like, I mean, I always try to classify in my 3rd dimensional puny brain, the hierarchy. Are the reptilians above these, interdimensional demons? Are they equal to, I mean, how can you classify them hierarchically?
Okay, you had a being on that side of the multiverse called the Dark Overlord, is what is referred to amongst higher up circles.
Okay.
In your world, you would call that creature Lucifer.
Right.
Same being. And he ruled the dark side of the multiverse, which on the flip side, where we live, the creator runs our side.
Right.
And we are Midgard. So everybody calls us Midgard because we're right in the middle.
Right.
And in order to pass from one to the other, you would have to go through the middle. Right?
Right. As above, so
You'd have to be permitted to pass. So we're kind of guardians in a way, not just us, but everyone that's here, helping to make sure that never happens. Because if the dark side takes over the light side, we're in big trouble. I will tell you, as far as written books, his books are very accurate. There's a gentleman that I know that knew him in the past, and they always work front and back, right? So they would tell you that you're the good guys, right? And you're saving the day, and we're saving the planet. And they would use your think tank information as an example in order to create an opposite operation. And then they'd clap and run it like a theater.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the QFS, the quantum financial system? I mean, a lot of people have opinions and ideas on what it is. I mean, is it in effect actually running right now in the background? We just don't see it because of the debt, the monetary fiat debt system is still being flashed in front of us with Wall Street and everything.
Well, okay. A quantum system has nothing to do with what we term quantum. So quantum computing in our world is ones, a nil, and a zero. And the nil is infinite, right? Space between the 1 and the 0. That is what the Chinese are in Google and all these other people that say they can now do quantum computing, which means that it goes much faster than what we have. The actual quantum system was brought here 16,000 years ago and has been running behind the scenes ever since. That's the system that I work with. Now, the front side of the system, so we see that as financial, telecommunications, internet, intelligence and military systems. That's the world that we live in. And slowly but surely, the back system has been taking over the front system. So we don't have those roadblocks because the front system was called the black screen system at the base root. The black screen was run by the black sun. And most of the time when money goes missing or they do an economic assassination, a lot of that came from that area. That screen no longer exists. It hasn't existed for a year. So we created a brand new database for banking, which is completely different than what you have now. And I've recently discovered, I guess it was probably about a week or so ago, I tried again and I discovered the last block. So they're redirecting apps and websites at banks to, I guess, their server and just kind of trying to keep things running and blocking out the back database. We know what they're doing now, so we'll go in and correct that issue. We've been working on it for the last few days, and hopefully we'll resolve that, and then we'll be completely done with their attempts at trying to control banking.
So you guys talk about, and by the way, guys, if you're not familiar with the sites to get more information about Ken, it's United Network News and Speak Project. Do you prefer recommending people to go to one of those two, either one of those two over the other?
Well, we do have some YouTube available at Speak Project. I've been on there for almost a year now,
Right.
doing a lot of talks and interviews. It's unitednetwork.news is the website that we have. We also have an app for United Network News on Google Store and Apple Play as well. So you can find a lot more information there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and before the show's over, I'll let you tell people where to go and how they can connect with you and all those kind of things. And again, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I know it's an honor, and a lot of people attempt to get interviews with you and you don't. So it's, again, I'm very humbled and privileged to have you here today. The whole tribe is. The restoration plan. Can you talk a little bit about the restoration plan?
Well, if you take a step back and look at the planet as a whole, at least on the surface level, we're using antiquated technologies, as you pointed out, right? We're using incorrect medications. We have oil spilling all over the place and with no regard for cleaning it up. And we're making a mess of the ecosystem. So under natural law, everything works together perfectly. The relationship between men and women works together perfectly when not interfered with programming, right?
Right.
Not say we all get along, but it's just a natural order of things.
Right.
It's a natural order to taking care of your body, right? Vitamins, minerals, things we need to survive. You guys talk about that all the time. It's 100% true. You're talking to a gym rat here, big time, and I'm a supplement girl and all those kind of things. So, yeah. But it's a healthy balance, not only mentally, but physically, right?
Sure. Our
Our relationship with plants, with animals, how we interact, what is our food? What is really supposed to be our food? That's a whole nother interesting thing as well. How to make food more nutritious by using proper frequencies and PSI fields. And your food grows bigger, better, and faster. So there's so many things that we can do that are natural to this planet where we don't have to live the way that we're living.
Right.
And that's what the restoration plan is all about. It's about our full DNA restoration. It's about the DNA restoration of the planet. And it's about restoring the natural law and natural order of things the way that the Creator created it.
Beautiful. Yeah. The opposite of what they want, which is transhumanism, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Transgenderism, transhumanism, making humans into like biobot slaves. It's like they're just distorting the frequency of this planet. It's interesting because sometimes when I think about, how devastated the planet is from the ecosystem standpoint, as you already said, and how poisoned everything is, I sometimes feel like we would almost have to like be lifted out of here and go somewhere for the earth to heal. I have so many questions for you from that. Are you working with any specific beings or dimensional allies, to seeing Earth restored, to its greatness, the Gaia, the Mother Earth, the natural aspect of things? Are there certain people or, again, beings or races that are working with you that you can align or talk about?
Okay, so there's a universal council. So to put that in our terms, like we have the United Nations, and the United Nations has representation from every country.
Right.
Well, the Universal Council has representation from every walk of life, basically.
Okay.
And we do have a seat at the table. We have communication. They've given us access to their resources. They have access to our resources as well. Not in a pillaging manner like has happened in the past, but this is in an equitable manner because there are things that are here that everybody needs, right? And there are things elsewhere that we could use as well. Plus we have technologies and a lot of offerings, right? Now, on the flip side, here already, and have been for a very long time, are other life forms. We are not the original race to live on this planet. I know we think we are because it's very common for a developing race to think these things. And they all still live here, and we all still have conversations, and you can have those conversations as well. It's not a channeling, it's telepathic communication, because we don't speak their language, they don't speak ours, but we speak brain frequencies together. You see?
Gotcha.
They want to see this planet restored as well. as much as we do, meaning us, not the elite, but as much as we do. They have been as enslaved as we have been. They have been subject to the same people that have oppressed this planet for a long time. And some of them want to go back home and fix their places. They were brought here after their place was destroyed, and they were used as slaves. For example, some of the groups are very good with genetically modifying things, organic life. Others are excellent with computers. Others have, everybody kind of has like their own little sort of specialty, but we are all currently under a unity pact, except for the elite, in order to restore this planet and get things moving forward. We would all like to cohabitate with each other. They all cohabitate with each other. They cohabitate with us. You see them as people. It's called mimicking. So they trick your brain into thinking you're seeing a person walking by, but it's really not a person.
So that's actually a really good point that I want to ask you. And I have a lot of different questions I'm going to ask you. How long do you have tonight? Can you go till another hour? Are you good to go another hour?
Yeah, I can probably go at least another half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But go ahead and ask your questions.
Okay, cool. I appreciate any time. But as far as what you just said, like, are there a lot of what I would call NPCs or just bots, in this matrix simulated reality field to allow souls to evolve and grow? So meaning, again, it kind of relates to the whole vaccine thing, right? Like we have so many of these people that are just consenting to give up what I would call their free will, or, because, I've had mRNA experts on the show, in fact, twice.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, they're installing operating systems in the people that are getting the vaccine. So are a lot of these people without soul, Kim, or are they just literally so dissonant from a frequency standpoint that they don't understand, and it's just part of their soul to evolve and grow beyond the experience of like getting the vaccine?
Well, I would say in some cases, people sell their soul, right?
Okay.
Now, I once asked Marduk, I said, well, have you sold your soul? Because he kept talking about selling your soul, right? And I said, well, have you sold your soul? He goes, no, I just convince others to do it. And so what happens is there's almost like a soul exchange. So one of the dark beings can come here, right? If that's what you're looking for. They promise you all kinds of things if you allow it to happen. And then your soul goes there and you become food. So their food is Loosh, right? Which is the energy that powers our soul.
Right.
So you just keep getting the life sucked out of your soul every single day. Like that's how it works. So you have some of those still here, right? Some walk-ins. They don't necessarily make decisions like we make decisions. They don't exercise free will. They're controlled by a darker being. So you have those groups. The agencies love Vril. They love a Vril infection, a good Vril infection. And because they're very loyal and they're easily controlled with frequency. You have a lot of that going on. You also have, there's some truth to the satanic ritual thing, right?
Right.
You're allowing that into your person. You're allowing this to become you, or you're cohabitating. There was a conversation once had with like Lady Gaga as an example. And she said, I don't know if it's me or it singing anymore. So eventually it just gets to the point where it completely takes you over. So if you've ever had a conversation with one of these elite, you'll have a full conversation like you and I are having right now. Right. And then at the end, maybe an hour from now or something, I'll say, well, what did you say? I'm glad to be here today. And we start all over again. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's like they erased everything that happened to their brain and it starts all over. So this is what I think they mean by bot. You also have agencies in the Order of the Black Sun loves to do chip implants, right? And tell you that they're going to switch you off if you don't comply and all of these things. That happens a lot as well. The MK Ultra programs, a lot of those programs are the electronic brainwave technology is used in JFK Airport. It's used in Heathrow Airport. It's used in New York City. It's used in London. It's used a lot of different places around the world. Tel Aviv is another one. where they literally are reading your thoughts as you're walking down the street. So can they do inception or implanting of thoughts? If you're not awake and aware, I would say yes. The awake and aware will figure that out because you'll feel it. Like it feels like something is wrong. Yeah.
Right. So just your opinion, is everyone that gets vaccinated pretty much in serious trouble? I mean, can that be transmuted? I mean, most of those people are obviously not awake and aware that are getting the vaccine, but what is your biggest like overall prediction or thought process on the people that are being vaccinated?
We have been neutralizing what's in them as best as we can. We do have enforcement, and like I said, we have help, right? So we've been neutralizing as much as we possibly can, as far as the nanites and everything that's in there that we know is in there.
Right.
As far as these things in the body, they can be neutralized as well. My concern, we can only do what we can do, right? We're not God. We're not the creator. We're just humans, and everybody's fighting for the same thing. We can educate people like you are doing, Michael's doing, but we're doing our best, I guess is what I could say. And if we can just help educate other people. There are over 4,000 strains of the coronavirus. It ranges from the common cold to a more severe flu. It's not as deadly. There is something called COVID-66, which has actually been used as an assassination drug. I guess I'd call it a drug, a virus. One actually makes the salt in your blood coagulate your blood, basically. So where it mimics a heart attack. And if they give you the normal treatments for a heart attack, it actually makes it worse. And then there's another one that uses the salt in your mucus and coagulates your mucus. And that's what COVID-66 is. So it was created by Langley in 1964.
Are all the agencies negative / corrupt, bad? I mean, are there quote unquote white hats in various agencies, or are they mostly dark?
Well, every agency in the world was created by the Order of the Black Sun, and they play them against each other constantly. And they put normal agency people at risk all the time, and they don't care. The more people that die, the better is how they think. Now, in the United States, we have Skull and Bones that created, which is an offshoot of the Order of the Black Sun, which created the CIA.
Right.
Since America has been kind of dominant somewhat, I would say you see more agency people coming from the United States than elsewhere. And the Order of the Black Sun also has its operatives within the agencies as well, at the higher levels. These would have been called, I would say the controllers globally would be like your 5-star generals, right? You would have the Order of the Jesuits in there, and then you would have above that, which are your Black Sun generals. And they've always been in control. So are there good men and ladies in all the agencies? I would say yes. I don't think anything is all bad or all good. I think everybody thinks they're doing their job, right?
Right. In regards to reptilians, like in human form, there's tons of rumors, stories. There's been, the famous video of General Petraeus on YouTube, supposedly shapeshifted, in a trial or a proceeding, and they covered it up, and like all the generals jumped up. It's like it's a known thing among some of the highest levels in the military that these beings are infiltrating humans. I mean, can you comment on that? Like, how many of them are still here infiltrating humans?
On the highest level of agencies in military, they're Vril.
Right. Okay.
So what you're seeing when you're seeing a shifting of eyes and these things, they're Vril. Vril start out, actually, I liken the Vril, that's why they call Langley Farm 41, Farm 42. You might have heard this term, because the farms are grown to be loyal. The Vril are grown to be loyal to that particular person. So The Vril actually remind me a lot of the movie Gremlins. Do you remember Gremlins? Okay. So they start out when they're babies, you know, they start out as these cute little fuzzy things and you think they're so cute. And then they grow into the other looking thing and grow larger. Well, in their forehead, they have what's called a proboscis or proboscis, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they shoot it through the eye, and now you have, and then it eventually wraps around the ocular nerve, down around. You're more educated than most people are, so you know, forgive me if I'm repeating
No, it's
what
okay.
you've already said.
Yeah.
So most of them have that infection at the highest levels. That's why you see the shape shifting and that kind of thing. Petraeus has been blackmailed many times when he's tried to step out of off the reservation, as they call it.
So with Vril, like, do they eventually leave the human, you know, the whatever you call it when it's under the influence of a Vril? Do they eventually just leave the human and the human can go back to normal, or is the human mush after Vril is done with them?
It's the opposite. So the human completely is taken over by the Vril, and there is no semblance of that human. But they also have to learn the human's behaviors, the way they walk, the way they talk.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of them are? Again, I know it's an opinion question, but I mean, like, the highest levels of the agencies are infiltrated by Vril. I mean, is it like statistically, is it like 5%, 10% more? I mean, what would you think?
At the highest level, I'd say more. You know, and it's a lot of times it's the older folks, you know, the older operatives, the normal operatives, like call it normal Langley, right? As an example, probably not so much. So a lot of the other experiments took place in like the 70s and 80s and even early 90s. I've met some of them, not that far from here.
Would Nancy Pelosi and, you know, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name right now, that supposedly Trump threw out at the very end. What's the guy who's like Kissinger? Are those type of people that are just like forever crony, you know, politicians that are just, they never ever seem to go away. They've been around for decades, literally. Are they infected by Vril?
I would say Pelosi's something completely different. Worse.
So she's
far worse.
Like a demon inhabiting a human.
Yeah.
I mean, because they never go away, Kim. They never get voted out.
Well, she's been very, very ill. You may not know this, but she's been very, very ill, even a few months back. And she actually coded several times right before the hearings took place, right? The impeachment hearing thing. And they actually brought her a med bed because she wasn't going to make it. And the frequency of the med bed was so high and her frequency is so low, that thing that's in there is so low, it almost killed her anyway. So they just gave her a few more shots of adrenochrome and sent her on her way. And I haven't really followed up on it in the last few weeks, but not really sure. I think that's a double. I think we're at the point where it's a double.
Right. So that was my next question actually for you. So, and you
Kissinger would be a reptilian.
He would be a reptilian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, so a real incarnated fourth dimensional reptilian in the third dimension can incarnate as a physical being. They have technology. Now, is it just technology that allows people to see them as a shapeshifted human? Is that how they really project that? I mean,
No, it's power. There are several layers of matter. And if you can affect the emotional and etheric level of matter, meaning your thought process, you'll see something that's not really even there, or that is really there, right?
Right.
I will say this, the higher your frequency, the more of the God particle that's contained in your person. If you can affect the emotional level of that creature, in other words, make it really angry, it can't hold shape.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So as far as the restoration plan, you know, in the let's say 15, 20 minutes left that we have with you, what are the roadblocks right now? Like what are the biggest obstacles?
Okay, so like this week, as an example. So I'm here in Colorado, down the street from a large super site. And what a super site is, by definition, there are enough minerals in this particular location that it exceeds a value of $100 trillion. And they were deemed super sites in the 70s, so you can imagine what this site is worth today, right? That's already been leveraged many times over. It's in the trust, and that's fine. Well, I'm fighting people, for example, that might be real leftovers. I've got several of those. I've got about 6 of those here right now, all saying they want control over it and that they're going to go take control. You know, I've got an admiral, 5-star admiral. I've got a brigadier here in town. I've got several other people along with that are here in town, all arguing over the same thing, right? Some want to move forward, but there's agreements with these types of places. This is a former portal, former portal as well, that was closed down many years ago. So we've got pictures of it coming up on our site, probably be posted shortly, and you know, those types of things. So I'm sitting here, we've got rare earth minerals, right? We can use for technologies like you've discussed, which are necessary for technologies like you've discussed. And we can't even start pulling it out because of these people. So they used to, until 2019, they were stealing it underground through the DUMS, and like this one here went to Dulce. So, you know, we've got to, we're never going to change these people's mind, in my personal opinion. I mean, even based on the negotiations that we've been having, if you've noticed, the order's full of a lot of older people now. You know, you don't really see the next generation playing the game as much, I would say. I would say over the age of 60, most of them. That's why, you know, Biden, Pelosi, all these people, you know, Putin, you know, people in UK, you know, you've got the Queen or whatever that is, and, you know, if it is still around or not. A lot of the old Chinese people, everybody's following. So we're hopeful that, you know, according to the others that are here, right? They just call them non-repairable humans. So, or, yeah. And everybody wants to move forward, except for them.
So do you have any relationship with Trump, and what is Trump's role at this point now? I mean, I know you already said he wants to be the king, you know, of the North American black sun.
That was a conversation we had yesterday with their aides in person.
So what is he doing right now? Like, how is he involved in any of this? I mean, obviously Biden, as you said, is CGI or a body double or whatever. I mean, no one's even in the White House. I mean, it's like we're in this, like I said, it's a holographic reality. Every day something else weird happens. Yesterday, Google was saying Richard Grenell was the president of the United States. So it's craziness, but like, what is Trump doing? Is he in Mar-a-Lago or whatever it's pronounced? And I mean, is he laying in wait? I mean, is something going to change? Like you said, I mean, obviously the next domino may fall, maybe Biden dies. And then what? Kamala Harris becomes president. I mean, what, you know, how
That's
much,
what the brigadier is saying right now.
yeah. I mean, how much deeper does this craziness go, though? I mean, what happens when Kamala Harris becomes president? Isn't she now just basically the de facto pigeon?
She's Obama in a skirt.
That's what I was going to say. Obama, right? Exactly.
Yeah. She's
Right.
Obama Jr., and she's worse than Susan Rice and Condoleezza. I mean,
Is she a demon? Do you think?
she's highly conditioned from the age of 3 as part of the order. So it's a conditioning method that is so brutal and so horrific. Very few people have actually gotten out of it.
So her mind is just basically fractured. She has alters, all of that stuff, right? It's amazing. Literally amazing.
She's been raped repeatedly since she was a child. That's a fact. There's all kinds of parties and things. If you've listened to any of the interviews we did with a lady named Max, we call her Meet Max. Max was actually subject to a lot of that stuff. She explains it in detail, and Camilla's no different. She has gone through a lot of the same thing. And she's very much, Obama's pretty evil, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Was. They're still trying to keep that alive too. He killed a lot of people, including a lot of Muslims, right? A lot of Islamic people. Yeah.
I mean, are any of these people, I guess it gets into the question of clones. Like, where is the cloning happening? Is it in underground bases and it's been, going on for decades and they've obviously perfected? I mean, the movie Replicas with Keanu Reeves really showed the technology. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to understand how they clone people, go watch that movie. But I mean, how long has cloning been going on, and like how sophisticated are they at doing this now?
Here, is that your question? Here?
Yes.
Thousands of years. They just can't make a soul.
Okay, so that was my next question. So, I mean, so a person of a resonant frequency, a higher vibration person, you can sense a clone because you can tell that it doesn't have a soul. I mean, are most clones dark, or can they come off as not dark?
Most of the people that have had access to that technology that have been worthy of a reproduction are not good people.
Right. So that would that would kind of fall in line with the celebrities, right? Because they sell their soul and then they're just cloned. What happens to the original after it sells its soul and then they're cloned? Do they just take them out? I mean, are they put in underground cities? I've heard all sorts of stories.
The underground cities don't exist anymore. But yes, in some cases, that is a utopia. It would make, they call us the animals, right? They don't want to cohabitate with the animals.
Right.
So their reward for doing a really good job is going into utopia. And it is, I mean, it's utopia. Like, for example, the people that died in 9/11 didn't actually die. They ended up in utopia as slaves.
I knew they went as slaves. I figured maybe some of them were killed off, but where is utopia? Is it here? Is it like in Middle Earth? Or I mean, where is utopia? Is it off planet? Where is it?
Us here.
So is it like a dome? Is that what utopia is? It's like an underground.
No, it's a whole city.
Wow. And where is it? I mean, is it above ground or is it underground?
Underground.
Okay. Yeah, because that's
Was. Yeah.
Okay, so are you familiar with Shane Bales? He's the guy that. Okay, cool. Shane's a friend of mine. We've talked about that. He says the same thing. Wow. Okay, so a couple minutes left. What is life force?
Life force is the energy that exists in all of us, all organic beings, including this planet. It's how we live. It is the energy that comes from the Creator, and it's how we exist. The reason why we created Life Force was almost like to try to create a unity or a place for people to come together and learn from each other, right? Exchange technologies, exchange problems in their areas, possible solutions. It was designed to create everything we need, the 99% needs to survive and to thrive. There's an enforcement issue we have, right? Everybody's waiting for everybody to get arrested. Well, most of these people get arrested, they fake suicide, and then they go out the back door and live a great life. Is that what, if you were enforcement, is that what you would do? Would we need to rescue our children, as an example, right? They're creating adrenochrome farms right here in the United States now. And we obviously need some kind of enforcement. There's plenty of veterans and people like yourselves and Mr. Yako that actually could do all these things. So it was not meant to control people. It's not a cult. It's not anything like that. It was just an opportunity for people to come together with using their special skill sets in order to help us, meaning all of us, the 99%. That's all it really was meant to do. People start talking, and this might not resonate with them. It doesn't resonate with other people, and that's fine, right? We're We're only trying to create a unity amongst us, because for us to succeed, we have to unite. I'm sorry, you may not like me, I may not like you, and that's fine. But we have a common goal here called freedom, survival. I mean, these people see us as food. We can't negotiate with people that see us as food.
Right.
And in order for us to beat them, there's many more of us than there is of them. And we really need to start taking that seriously and realize our full potential and band together, and with whatever way you want to do it, right? And create our own system that works for us. Because their system was never designed to work for us for the last 16,000 years.
Okay, can you take a couple questions?
Sure.
I mean, I'm going to read them, but they're questions. Okay, so Eric Greenberg wants to know, like, what is your background and where are you from? Like, I guess that's more of like, are you specific, like, do you have specific family DNA or anything that, you know, has positioned you where you are?
Well, I am a Rus. Okay, I'm not a Russian, I'm a Rus. So if you know about Rusland as it existed thousands of years ago, it goes all the way from UK, all the way down through half of China, all the way down to Turkey, and most of Western Europe as well. So I'm a Rus. I have DNA is random, like albino is random, right? Genetic abnormalities are random. So my DNA is a random. So I'm actually, according to what they say, 99.8% pure Rus. So pure to the original source of humanity. So that's what they say. What that means, I don't know. You know, I have certain skills, I know, that may become easier to me, I guess, than other people, but that help me do my jobs, plural.
Right.
But that would be my background. I'm an American citizen. I was born in America, in Boston, actually.
I mean, do you have like recollection of past lives or any of that kind of stuff?
From time to time. I mean, I remember things from the past. The past is easy. The present is also easy. The future is difficult, because the further away you get from this moment, anything can change, right? And the more people that are involved, anything can change.
The only thing that matters is right now. So people are asking about when you say you're a trustee, they want you to define that, the trustee of what? I know what it is, but can you just define that?
Okay, well, in December of 2018, after the agreement, Solomon's agreement expired, I guess you would call it, Solomon. That was 3,000 years. So then I became the guardian after that. So I guard assets. I guard things that you wouldn't consider an asset. Everybody thinks when you say asset, you think gold, right?
Right.
It's much, much more than that. So we have a really beautiful rock we live on.
Yeah.
That has been destroyed by industry and their types of industries and their failure to share proper technologies and stuff with us too. That's part of being a guardian. I'm also an ambassador. I'm also ground command. I mean, I do a lot of different things.
So Eric asks, to further your answer to that, like, who bestowed this like position or this these powers that you have? Is there a force or a group?
Because we have us, right? And we also have them here. I would say I am subject to review annually by the council. That's a fact. It happens every year. I was not given this by the Draco, like people say. I was not given this by whatever. Maybe I have no idea, really, honestly. I mean, the computer system, I know from the AI systems standpoint, I'm related to 99.8% of the people on the planet. Therefore, I must be the representative. That's the way trinary computers think, right?
Right.
Now, the quantum system spans time and space because time is only relative and time really doesn't exist.
Right.
And time is not linear. So the system reads the past, the present, the future, maps out probabilities better than any intelligence system ever could. And it's also connected to other systems in other locations. So you have access to a lot of information. It's also powered by the God particle. So it's connected directly to the creator. You have access to a lot of records.
So the last question to that vein, and then just a couple more, and I appreciate, I'll let you go and you can tell people how they can connect with you and how, people like us and our audience can help this, what you're doing, obviously the restoration plan. Who is the council? Is the council made up of specific beings, humans, interdimensionals, off-planet beings?
Well, Earth is not the birthplace of the human race. You know that, right? Okay, so I would say they are made up. When you go there, it looks like a coliseum. And then you have a general bench in the front, right? And depending on why you're there, that bench could be any number of different groups, right? If there's a grievance, if there's some kind of an issue. And so it's made up of a representation of every walk of life or intelligent life, I would say, in the multiverse. And everybody is represented there, including us now. Our version, Human 7.0.
So when you hear people talk about, the intergalactic council or, the Galactic Federation of Light, there's so many, in the consciousness community statements. Are these similar? Or are some of them just outright fantasy compared to like what the council is and what you're referencing?
I don't really read a lot of stuff on the internet, so I don't really know what people are saying. I know that the Galactic Council no longer exists. The Galactic Council was formed by our oppressors, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, and so temporarily, currently, we do not have one. The World Council that people talk about refers to what they call humans of the future, which would be humans from elsewhere, let's just say, who believe that they had the right to grow us like plants, or
Right.
grow us like food. Like we would raise cattle, they raise people. And their obligations are not to us. So their obligations are to raise the farm for other places. They no longer are here either. Now you have their remnants that used to report to them still coming up with following old operations that never were meant to work anyway. From there on out, you would have the Intergalactic Council or the Universal Council, as I call them, because, and they're not gods either, right? They're just other beings that maybe have more technologies than we currently have access to, or we have created and have been unable to distribute, right? They do help as much as they can, but it's kind of like going to your grandfather or your mother or father for advice, right? They can give you advice based on their life experience, but they're not God and they don't have all the answers as much as we would like them to.
Right. So by the way, the book, To the Heart of the Matter, I read the whole thing. It's an amazing book. A lot of intel and information in there. Like one of the questions is from Michael Ashton. He said, how do you get information or access to the information in that book? Because it seems like, it's a pretty amazing story as far as like our origins and all the different species and races and everything that was involved. But like, where does that information come from?
My life. I've met all these people, sometimes in person.
Right.
I've had access to a lot of different things for whatever reason. That's my history, I guess. When I say to you, well, this party does this person does that, that's because I've actually had a conversation with these people, or I've been there, or I've gone underground. I've met those people. I've been in their world as much as they're in ours. Just life experience, I guess.
Michael Ashton also asked a good question. He says, you twice suggested that Trump and various generals were deep state, whatever, dark side. What evidence can you provide for this?
To prove to you that Trump has been Black Sun his whole life.
Yeah.
Look up the history of John Trump. Look up the history of his father. His father was deeply involved in the Black Sun as well, Skull and Bones, all his affiliations. And number one. And number two, I'm so sorry, but this is the truth. There is no one that has worth over $1 billion that is not a member of the order.
Right. That's
ever.
By the way, I actually can. So you guys, when Kim leaves, I will stay on and we can answer some questions. I don't want to keep her that long, but I have an answer around that from somebody who's actually, not a billionaire, but close. And he's told me some stories about like what it takes to actually become a billionaire and how that works. So, and this person is very famous. I know everyone in this group will know that. And I've never shared this story, but I'd be happy to do it. But I don't know.
Just out of curiosity. Come on, do spill.
I mean, it's Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is worth about 450. And
okay.
Him and I came into the world together in the car business, and we're friends and went separate ways and stuff like that. But I've had a personal conversation with him about how the world works money wise, and he's told me some very interesting stories. And this was before I was like as awake and aware as I am now. But he said to get to $1 billion, that's an off-world negotiation.
And it's totally true. Yeah. It always was that way. And it's actually not off. I mean, they're here. They're inhabiting everything. But it's totally true. I mean, to get to that level, you had to basically be subservient to them and to the order. If you haven't seen the chart that I put out, that is the chart of hierarchy. Until you get about 4 or 5 rungs out, there's no humans.
Right.
That's the way it was.
There's so many questions about Trump. Is there any part of him that was good? I mean, or he was always an Illuminati plant? Again, he has Hollywood background.
He is Black Sun. Okay. Yeah. Right. He's always been Black Sun. He was raised as Black Sun. And no matter how many times he's been, please excuse me, screwed over by these people, he keeps going back. Why? Because the Project Looking Glass told him he was going to be special and that he was the chosen one. And if you haven't heard Shane Bales, right? Shane Bales told you he's special. He's the ruiner. He broke everything. Sure you did, right? Okay. So do I believe that everyone in the order is bad? I would tell you that I think really Trump thought he was doing the right thing in a lot of cases. I think he has a lot of bad advisors, really, really bad advisors. I think he has the capability to do some good things. I mean, he's a public persona. Everybody loves him, right? I mean, what if we could completely turn him? I think that all the time. Right. So I don't know. I haven't talked to the aides. They're still here. I think they're supposed to be leaving later on today. But, he wants to be in charge of all the assets of North America. That's what he wanted. That's what it was asked for yesterday. So I told them that my response to them was, well, we need to sit down and have a talk, because I don't think he even knows what that is.
Are you familiar with the Wingmakers?
Spell it.
Wingmakers. They're basically, I think, and don't quote me on this, but they're an offshore shoot of the Stanford Collaborative. They work with the CIA. They say they were connected to the Anunnaki. By the way, who are the Anunnaki?
M's grandfather's name was Anu. If you're from Russia, you're a Russian.
Right.
If you're from Anu's land, you're an Anunnaki.
Got it. So Shane Bales had said that the Anunnaki were before the reptilian, the Draco, and that the Draco impersonated them and essentially were imposters, that they were actually the Anunnaki, the original Anunnaki. This is what I was told. They were the builder race, and they're so ancient, they're so far back, it's hard to even understand that. Is that possible that the Draco hijacked the original builder race, and where these were like giant humanoid types?
The Draco were not, okay, so there was a partnership. You had the Draco, the Mantids, the person that we call the Black Magician or the Destroyer, right, which would be your version of Satan.
Right.
And then you had the Dark Overlord that was Lucifer.
Right.
So they all had a partnership together. And then the Abraxas. The Abraxas were the merchants. They're human. You have, that's where your Aldebrandinis and your Medicis come from. A lot of them, yeah. So the Destroyer would be more affiliated. The Black Magician would be more affiliated with the Black Sun. His army were your jinns, so to speak. He crashed into this multiverse 1.5 million years ago. I disagree with the fact that the Anunnaki were the builder race. If you've ever looked into the creature called Yaldabaoth,
Yeah, Yaldabaoth.
very similar to, yeah, I say it wrong, I apologize.
Okay.
I would say that the creature that they're referring to is the one that destroys to create, right?
Right, the false light, as the Gnostics classified it as.
So I would say the Dracos more were employees than the ancient builder race in their world.
Was Anu, so you talked about the Abraxas. So was Jupiter Ascending, the movie, a good glimpse of what's going on?
Fairly accurate.
Fairly accurate, right?
Yeah. A fairly accurate depiction. They're very arrogant. They are louche farmers. They're merchants. They sell it. The Destroyer used the Star Maker. It's called the Star Maker. It's a compilation of metals and a rod, so to speak. And it's the destroyer of suns. And then in order for your sun to exist, therefore your life to exist, then you would have to buy power packs from them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was told that the Wachowski brothers were forced to become sisters as part of that movie because they revealed too much to the food. Is that true?
It was produced by Castle Rock Entertainment, wasn't it?
There you go.
Just like our current White House, it's Castle Rock Military Entertainment. That is the Space Force that's in there. That's a fact. Trump declared, by the way, Trump did declare martial law right before he walked out on that podium to say his farewell speech. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know
He put
that.
the Space Force in charge. And everything was being run out of Cheyenne Mountain and Castle Rock, Colorado, which there's a tunnel that goes from Castle Rock to Cheyenne. So he did declare martial law. He's absolutely been in contact with the Space Force that's in there right now. He's absolutely in contact with the admiral who is here right now, who took a marker. Actually, I don't know if you know what that is, but he took a marker in order to get Trump this position. They did their ritual sacrifice not that far from here in order to try to make this happen, and nothing happened.
So right now, because this, I would assume the information that you're giving us is a little bit negative to the side of like everybody is hoping that the white hats are gonna come storming in and everybody's gonna get arrested. And
You are the white hats.
Right.
Why are you waiting for someone else to do it? You are the white hats.
So what is the goal and purpose of all of us? Like, how can we can end the show on that? Like, how can all of us manifest a better reality and the golden age to end this tyranny in this matrix?
Well, freedom is a state of mind, right? If we don't mind them, they don't matter. We're waiting for a savior. Stop. It's a program.
Right.
It is 100% a program to get everybody to hurry up and wait. And for every day that goes by and you do nothing, everybody has a part to play. I don't care if or you think, well, I'm too old, or well, I'm too young. That's not true. There's a whole spiritual side of this. There's a spiritual war going on. You can absolutely participate. You can help protect the lives of innocents as they do bring out this new technology, right? I mean, you can become the assembly, right? Assemble. You can call it a union. You can call it whatever you want, and stop fighting them. You know, you're expecting to win something in their court. It's their court.
Right.
You're assembling because what is it that your community needs? How can we provide this to the community? We absolutely need this road. We absolutely need to change our educational system. Contribute in whatever way you can. And I know we don't all get along. And I know a lot of you reading, listening to this today don't like me. And that's fine. But please, we have one common goal, which is we need a system that works for us and the planet we live on, so we're not harming our home. We have to do it.
What are your thoughts? Bonus question before I let you go. What are your thoughts on ascension? So for me, ascension is what you're talking about right now. All of us keeping our vibration as high as possible, raising our consciousness as human beings. But is ascension an aspect of when the planet planetarily enough get to a, say, again, this is the Hawkins scale, but a vibration of 400 to 500, around love and obviously unity of consciousness? Is that when ascension actually happens for this planetary body, this species, this life?
I'll give you my opinion.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to tell you from a scientific standpoint somewhat, and then it kind of ties into the spiritual aspect as well. Okay, so the God particle, it's called the Boson-Higgs. It's been called many different things. And if you look into the sky, in the daytime, easier, you can see it all the time. Eventually, you can see those little sparkles floating around, right? And you can see that they're kind of far apart and they have their own movement to them, right?
Right.
Now, that's because the particles are spread out. And it's the way that the torus of this planet was destroyed that made that happen. But you can access it. So the more of the particles that you put into a small vessel, right, the higher the particles vibrate. So if they're out in space, they're going to go like this, maybe, But when they're in your person, they're might be going like this because there's only so much space for them to move. That's your vibration. So you're bringing in that God particle and you're raising your vibration, and it feels good because that is our origin as humans. We are from there. That is our home. It's like the love of a parent to a child, right? So you feel better, and that it's easier to hold more of this particle within your person when you're experiencing love,
right,
and appreciation and happiness and the right music, and that's not the same for everyone. Whatever it is that gets you into that special space, then you can start accessing those particles. So imagine going inside one of those particles. Now you have access to all the information in the multiverse because we're all connected. So my particles that are within me, right, are connected to the creator, which are the same ones that are within you. So how do I reach you from here? You're there, I'm here. That's how you do it. Now, ascending, what does that mean? Knowledge, right? Could be knowledge. It could be reaching a spiritual level where you can maintain that feeling all the time so that you can get more of that particle, more access to the information, more connection, special connections with others. As an example, let's take a male-female relationship or a male-male or female-female, right? A love relationship. And when you're with that person, your whole body feels different, especially if that other person is awake as well, like yourself.
Right.
That feeling of being together is incredible. It's an amazing exchange of energy. There's a heat that exists almost between you, right?
Totally.
So that to me is what ascension actually is. It's knowing, firstly, raising your vibration, right? Then knowing how to use that particle. You can create matter where matter does not exist. You can destroy matter where matter exists. You can create, we are creators, right? You can, as long as you're not breaking natural law, you can use this particle that exists within you to create and manifest anything you want. So it's not just about the mind, it's about understanding how these particles are present in all that exists and how to bring that to you, because you're actually having a conversation with it, essentially on a frequency level. Does that make sense to you?
It
Kind of,
does.
sort of.
No, it absolutely does. I mean, I have, more questions, but I want to be respectful of your time. You've given us an hour and 20 minutes, which is phenomenal. If people who are watching this tonight want to get involved, with Project Speak and the United News Network and you, and obviously the people like Tank and all the other people you work with, what would be your recommendation? Where can they go?
We have a new website that we're also using to connect people with other people. It's not so much to connect with me, it's people connecting with people. But it's called, it's GeForce, GeForce.network. It looks just like Facebook. It works kind of like Facebook, except we created it. So it's doesn't involve anyone else. We're hosting it ourselves. And that's for everybody to use. I mean, you can post what you had for dinner or recipes onto joining any of the groups on there that might be in your area that are doing something great. So you can connect that way. We also do Life Force meetings every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we have them available also on our app after that, if you want the information. We're all trying to do the same thing, yourself, your tribe. It's all about uniting the people, teaching people what we've learned, right, as we've awakened, and, expressing our mistakes and how we all move forward together. Everyone is important, honestly. I mean, I've learned so much from the Life Force members. We've put a lot of that into practice. Maybe we have access to different people, but we've employed a lot of those techniques on how to move forward. It's really all about us. And I'm sorry to say it, but we can't wait for a savior, because you are the savior.
Exactly.
Us united is the savior.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I always say you are your own savior. I mean, you only have control of self. And obviously you want to be much more tapped in and connected to your higher self. And you will be when you do with the things that you said, which is love, courage, compassion, creativity,
Right.
kindness, all those things. And again, working on those things is something that you have to make a regular part of your life, a spiritual practice, a mindfulness, routine every morning, whether it's meditation, introspection, contemplation, grounding in nature, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to do that. And so many people are stuck, in the matrix, watching the network news, the internet, listening to, psyop after psyop after psyop, jumping into all of these, again, internet rumors. And obviously, I'm grateful and humble.
It's called Project Mockingbird, by the way.
Mockingbird, exactly. But
Yeah.
I'm very grateful and humble that you came on tonight, and I thought you did a great job of answering questions. I know there's a lot of people out there that, as you said, doubt what you're saying, but personally, I think you come off as very believable. And again, I'm just very grateful. And, if you and I can connect, obviously, with Michael again in the near future.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys are great. Everything you're teaching people from, physical health and wellness, which is so important,
Right.
To spiritual wellness. I think it's amazing. And, I'm really glad to have met you and had the opportunity to chat with you, and would very much look forward to speaking with Michael as well.
Okay.
And hopefully we can get humanity together moving forward, right?
Like you said, we're all working together for unity, and definitely I'll arrange that. Michael's YouTube channel, his big one, was just deleted on Sunday, so it's okay.
Yeah, we're not on there very much anymore either. So we created our own thing, as you guys did as well.
Of course.
Well,
Kim, let us know. Obviously through Jody, who's in our group, she's in our tribe and everything. She's connected with you, and she connected us together. So if there's any way that, you know, Michael and I can serve you in any fashion or form, you know, let us know and reach out to us. We'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have you on, I mean, as well, and, you know, talk about all that you've learned, and if you can help, you know, Life Force, that'd be great. And if we can form a collaborative effort together to move people forward, we do have a whole section about health and wellness as well. And, you know, it's all about the overall wellness of everything. It's not just, you know, mind, body, and soul. So.
Exactly. So for all of you guys, you know, who watch this group tonight, you know, please go into the Optimized Tribe and, you know, comment, leave your testimonials. Kim's book is in the book section of that. So you guys, it's a PDF, you know, it's obviously for free. So go read it. It's phenomenal. There's amazing information in there. And again, Kim, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. I'm sure I'll be in touch with you very soon. Okay. I send you tremendous love and light.
And same to you. And same to everyone watching. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow night at 2 p.m. or 5 p.m. on the Situation Report. Much to talk about. Okay, Kim, take care.
Perfect. Take care.
Bye-bye.